She was only 8. Fluent in 5 alien tongues, born under twin suns, a symbol of peace, until they smashed her skull in public, laughed, and called it culture. Earth said nothing. Not at first. Then Earth vanished. And when it returned, it came with fire, steel, and a vengeance the galaxy had never imagined. This isn't a war story. This is a reckoning. The room was too quiet. Not the peaceful kind. This silence scraped at the edges, unnatural, trembling with everything unspoken. Ambassador Noah Jensen stared at the blank holopad in his hand. The feed had ended 17 minutes ago. 17 minutes since the last scream. 17 minutes since the galaxy changed. He played it again. Static. A jolt of shaking footage. A mob of alien nobles in ceremonial garb. The child in the middle, her hair a tangle of sunlight, eyes wide. Mira. Standing small but upright, confused, holding the gift she'd brought for the council, an earth blossom preserved in crystal. Then the voice. She contaminates our soil. Cleanse it. A sickening crunch. Screams. Laughter. Static. Noah didn't blink. He didn't cry. He didn't move. Just tapped the screen again. And again. Memorizing the moment his daughter died. Outside the embassy, riots still thundered. Dariath Prime was tearing itself apart in celebration. The nobles called it a cultural purification. The High Concordium Council released a statement within the hour. A regrettable miscommunication between cultures. We grieve with Earth and offer symbolic reparations. Symbolic. Noah rose. His movements were surgical, detached. He crossed the room to the security terminal. Lock down all consulates. Effective immediately. Burn all back doors. Sir? His aide stammered, a young analyst with trembling fingers. Noah didn't look at him. We're done here. Prepare the exfil routes. Nothing official. Nothing slow. We vanish before they realize we're gone. Across the stars, Earth's embassies went dark. Staff vanished. Comms ceased. Files disappeared. In less than 6 hours, Earth was silent. Unreachable. Off-grid. Every diplomat pulled. Every handshake revoked. And Noah Jensen didn't give a single statement. Not to the press. Not to the council. Not even to his staff. Back on Earth, the footage leaked. Not just the final moment. All of it. Myra's voice. I brought this for you, to say thank you for letting me be here. The sneering noble's reply. You should have never been born. And the last second, her clutching the crystal flower, then dropping it as the scepter cracked her skull. Earth didn't riot. Earth remembered. They didn't scream. They downloaded. They shared. They archived. They made the image of Myra's last moment a symbol. A banner. A trigger. On the 7th day, Earth held a funeral. No speeches. Just silence. A billion screens black, one child's name glowing softly beneath a still image. She was 8. On the 10th day, the noble responsible, Vorn Carrick, held a gala. He toasted to Galactic purity. On the 12th day, Earth responded. Not with a fleet. Not with diplomats. With a whisper. The orbital platforms above Dariath blinked out, one by one. Stationary cannons lost power. The sun dimmed, just for 8 minutes, as if the stars themselves recoiled. Then came the sound. A thunderless boom. Not heard, felt. The kind of vibration that lives in your bones. The kind that ancient people once described as God's waking. The Carrick estate was vaporized. No warning. No light. No sound. Just gone. A crater 5 kilometers wide. A mark seared into the stone with surgical precision. You murdered a child. War begins at sunrise. Across the Concordium, panic rippled. The High Council issued condemnations, sanctions, diplomatic ultimatums. But Earth remained silent. Calms bounced. Diplomats offered no explanation. Only cold, placeholder text, system not available. Access revoked. In the Galactic chamber, the alien representative from the Vakhtari clutched his head. We must act. They've violated every protocol. They were provoked, shouted another. They've suffered a loss. A loss? One child. Not just a child. The future they offered us. In the silence that followed, someone whispered, They warned us once before. And we laughed. Noah Jensen reappeared on the 14th day. He stood alone, dressed in matte black Terran formal wear. No insignias. No crest. Just a small pin, a broken blossom, shattered in half. His words were few. But they burned. You called it symbolic. So we answered in kind. You destroyed innocence. We destroy arrogance. Let this message be clear. There will be no negotiations. No apologies. No delays. You started this. Earth will finish it. The broadcast cut. Every channel. Every screen. Then the stars went quiet again. In the Empire's inner ring, high nobles doubled their security. Military fleets were deployed to Terran space. Every outpost went on alert. But nothing came. Not at first. And that was worse. Because silence, they realized too late, was never absence. It was patience. And humanity had just found a reason to be very, very patient. Back on Dariath, in the smoldering shadow of the Carrick crater, two scavengers whispered as they examined the glass ruins. You think they're done? No, said the other, eyes wide. They've only just taken the first breath. In the Terran command bunker, deep beneath Earth's crust, Admiral Ray Sung stared at the fleet logs. Targets confirmed? Confirmed. Clean data. No overlap. All strategic. Then begin Operation Too Light. And in 1,000 places, in silence, Earth began to move. Not in fleets. In shadows. In whispers. In code. The galaxy hadn't just insulted Earth. It had awakened it. The Noble Council convened in fury, robes fluttering like agitated wings, their pride wounded, not by the crater where the Carrick estate once stood, but by the silence that followed. Silence from Earth, the upstart. Silence that stretched for hours. Then days. Then into dread. High Lord Serix pounded the dais. We demand explanation. Retaliation. Something. He paused, expecting nods. Instead, he saw fear. They struck a core world, muttered Minister Vell. Without warning. Without conversation. Just gone. Savages. Serix spat. We let them in, gave them a voice. This is their answer? A younger diplomat, pale and shaking, replied. They didn't answer. They acted. That was a statement, not a question. No one knew where Earth's fleet was. None had seen a single ship. But rumors spread like rot. Defense networks that flickered out just before the strike. AI control systems reporting ghost pings. Entire battalions waking up to find encrypted Terran phrases etched into their own walls. Then came the second message. It wasn't broadcast. It was delivered, one by one, directly into the personal implants of the 12 most powerful families. The message contained no threats, no demands. It was a name. Mara Jensen. And one sentence. You murdered a child. We are not here to negotiate. That same night, the planetary defense network over Narsen 6 failed. Not glitched. Not jammed. Failed. The orbital ring spun out of control. Artificial gravity inverted. By morning, the noble families stationed there had either suffocated in vacuum or turned to red mist against reinforced glass. No ships detected. No heat signatures. Only a set of coordinates burned into the metal floor of the command bridge. Sector 14, Archive of Apologies. Historians pulled the record. It was a video. 3 weeks old. Mara Jensen, offering a preserved Earth blossom to the Concordium Cultural Committee, the very men who now hung in shredded pieces across a frozen deck. Ambassador Jensen, missing since Earth's diplomatic blackout, resurfaced on a backwater frequency. Not a formal appearance, just a recorded voice. You took everything. And now we will teach you what that means. One lesson per bloodline. One message per act. The Concordium launched full alert protocols. Ships repositioned. Fleets pulled in. And yet no movement from Earth. No declarations. No traditional warfare. Just destruction. And silence. In the outer colonies, Terran operatives, once diplomatic staff, resurfaced in black. Coordinated, lethal, and quiet. One by one, power stations, military depots, surveillance hubs, cut off. When asked how Earth was coordinating the strikes without satellites or command fleets, Commander Vare of the Lority Border Guard only whispered, "They were never using ours." In the fourth week, a member of the Carrick family, Vorn's cousin, attempted to flee to the Sarin conglomerate under escort. His ship never arrived. Instead, what landed was a Terran drop pod. Inside, nothing but his severed tongue, still twitching, and a Terran medallion fused into a melted piece of hull. The medallion read, "She was 8. You do not get to run." A week later, Earth's first message to the general public was sent. It appeared on every device. Even those disconnected from networks. No visuals. No anthem. No declaration. Just Myra's voice. "I wanted to say thank you for letting me be here. For letting me learn. I hope this flower reminds you to be kind to other children, no matter where they come from." The recording ended. Static. And then came the noise. Across military frequencies, a simple pulse, 3 notes. Repeating. Analysis revealed it matched the final neural signature recorded in Myra's cerebral implant before her death. A neural scream. The pulse became Earth's war anthem. On Vasca 3, the planetary governor committed suicide. Left a note. "They are not a species. They are judgment." On the Galactic Council's floor, the atmosphere shifted. For the first time in history, Councillor Karen of the Vuxtal offered to withdraw all military presence from the Terran perimeter. "We cannot contain them," she admitted. "We can only hope they tire." But Earth did not tire. In a matter of weeks, 15 noble lines were extinguished. Not just killed, erased. Cultural archives burned. Names struck from registers. Gene vaults scrubbed. Each strike accompanied by the same phrase. "You erased our child. We erase your legacy." In the Empire's backrooms, plans of counterattack were drawn. Covert teams assembled. But when they breached Earth's outer colonies, they found nothing. No children. No civilians. No infrastructure. Just notes, written by hand. "You are not chasing us. You are dancing where we already buried you." Panic infected the aristocracy. For the first time, they understood Earth was not at war. Earth was settling a debt. When one remaining Carrick heir offered public apology, Ambassador Jensen finally responded. "You apologize now. Not when she screamed. Not when your people laughed. Now? When your palaces bleed and your names are dust?" The Carrick heir begged. "Please. I didn't know." Noah Jensen's voice was low. "We asked nothing of you but dignity. You gave us a grave. And now we return the favor." The line cut. Hours later, the Carrick family crest was carved into a prison asteroid using orbital plasma cutters. No one knew how the machines were accessed. When rescue arrived, the asteroid was silent. No prisoners. No guards. Just names. Dozens of names. All children. All human. One final message. "You taught us what your justice looks like. Now learn ours." No fleets. No banners. No surrender. Just Earth, one breathed behind every throne. The strike was too clean. Not a single scream. Not a trace of energy discharge. No radar ping, no comms burst, no trajectory trail. Just one moment the Hall of Bloodlines stood proud on Cora's V, and the next, it was a symmetrical trench of molten glass. Admiral Hekros of the Imperial Navy stood above the wreckage in stunned silence. "How?" he asked, not expecting an answer. A junior technician replied anyway, his voice dry with fear. There's no debris, sir. The molecular bonds were severed. No impact signature. Just heat and gravity resculpted into that. Is this what they call a weapon? The Admiral whispered. The technician didn't answer. Somewhere in the static of local broadcast relays, a faint voice was looping, barely audible under the hum of emergency sirens. Mira Jensen again. Her final public words. Her last attempt at diplomacy. Thank you for letting me be here. No threats. No commands. Just a child's gratitude echoing through the ashes of an empire. In a sealed chamber beneath Earth's surface, General Ray Sung watched the footage in silence. A holoscreen flickered above her, displaying 73 targets, now 74, crossed out in red. One by one. Precision. Minimal loss of life outside the bloodline targets. Not genocide. Not warfare. Surgical extinction. Begin next phase, she said. Her aide hesitated. We're approaching the inner core. Civilian zones. We do not strike the innocent. We do not erase the hopeful, she replied. But we do not delay either. Their walls are built on bones. Time we pull out the foundation. The aide saluted, then paused. General, do you think they regret it? Ray didn't blink. They don't get to regret. That's a privilege for the living. On Delareth Prime, a prestigious military academy woke up to silence. No power. No sensors. No alarms. Then a single Terran craft descended, unmarked and whisper quiet. By the time it left, the top 100 graduates of the last 10 years, each bearing the Carrick crest or having trained under their doctrine, were gone. In their place, a message scrawled in blood. She was 8. You trained the man who laughed. A week later, panic turned to desperation. The Concordium assembled a summit to discuss options. It didn't last. 4 minutes in, the lights dimmed. The walls rippled with projected names. Not of soldiers. Of Terran orphans, slain in border skirmishes. Forgotten children. The chamber went dead quiet. Then, across every datapad, a voice spoke. You forgot her name. We didn't. It wasn't Noah Jensen's voice this time. It was Myra's mother, Elira, absent from all public records since the attack. While you drafted statements and wrote condolences into protocols, I scrubbed my daughter's blood from my own hands. While you debated definitions, we buried her in silence. Now you bury yourselves beneath your pride. No threats. No announcement. Just pain laid bare, raw, unfiltered, and unrelenting. After that, defections began. First, whispers from the Vaskari, engineers who admired Earth's precision. Then the Yethari, whose AI networks Earth had silently fortified before vanishing. Then the Jern, a species long subjugated under Concordium rule, who began painting Myra's name on their temples, calling her the Fireborn. By the 3rd month, 23 member worlds had cut ties with the Empire, publicly or in secret. Not because they feared Earth's wrath, but because they'd seen Earth's memory. They understood that humanity didn't retaliate out of anger. They retaliated out of principle. An empire could survive war. It could not survive being seen as wrong by those it ruled. The Concordium's grand fleet was deployed at last. Hundreds of ships, all bristling with enough firepower to sterilize moons. They were ordered to blockade Terran space. To draw a line. They never arrived. Halfway there, every NAV system rewrote itself. Blind jumps. Empty returns. Ships split from one another. AI cores corrupted. Coordinates jammed with childlike handwriting. Each vessel's emergency backup recorded a voice. Not military. Not adult. Mira again. I'm scared. I want to go home. That was all. An entire armada brought to its knees by a memory. The last fleet to ever see Earth was the Ajax division. They never even entered orbit. They stopped dead. Drifted. And then, one by one, opened fire on themselves. Not because they were hacked, but because they realized too late they were already surrounded. Every hull, every module, every life support system, They were built with Terran parts. Purchased years before. Quiet deals. No flags. Just good tech. Trusted vendors. 100,000 troops, weaponized by Earth, dismantled by Earth, and ended by Earth. No shots fired. Just switches flipped. In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Halden stood before a fractured map. He whispered, "This can't be real." His advisor, pale, nodded. "They told us who they were. We called them sentimental. We called them emotional. And they were." The Emperor exhaled. "And now we bleed for every tear we laughed at." Earth's voice returned, one final time. This time, it wasn't Mira. It wasn't Alira. It was Noah Jensen. He didn't speak from rage. He spoke from resolve. "You mistook our love for weakness. Our peace for submission. Our grief for hesitation. You've made that mistake for the last time. There will be no treaty. No court. Only memory." His eyes burned, but his voice never rose. "She was 8. You watched her die. Now, you watch us remember." And in the shadows of stars long ruled by cruelty, Earth remembered, perfectly. Emperor Halden stood in the ruins of the inner sanctum, marble scorched, banners ripped, the weight of 1,000 years pressing against his spine. The ornate ceiling, once etched with the history of his bloodline, had collapsed under its own symbolism. His ancestors, carved in stone, now lay shattered on the floor. He didn't ask how it happened. By now, he knew the answer. A shadow detached from the far wall. Admiral Iser, eyes sunken, voice raw. "The Terrans didn't strike with weapons. They moved with time. They waited until we built the palace on weak ground." Halden didn't reply. He hadn't slept in 3 days. Sleep required peace, and peace had become extinct. "We were never fighting them," Iser continued. "We were chasing echoes. Every act of retaliation, every gesture of strength, they already accounted for. We thought they wanted revenge. But they wanted collapse. And we delivered." The Emperor lowered his head. "Where is the last of the Carrick line?" Iser swallowed. "Captured 2 nights ago. Taken from the transport ship en route to Lorthus. Terran signal intercept confirmed. No survivors. Just one message transmitted to our system." Halden raised an eyebrow. It read, he laughed. The words hit harder than the crumbling walls. A chime sounded, high frequency, encrypted, unmistakably Terran. Iser paled. "Incoming transmission. They've bypassed our security net." Again. Halden didn't hesitate. "Put it through." The screen flickered to black. A pause. Then Noah Jensen appeared, alone, dressed in black, the blossom pin still visible on his collar. He looked older, wearier, as if vengeance aged in dog years. He didn't smile. He didn't need to. "You should have listened," he said quietly. Halden's jaw clenched. "We regret what happened to your daughter." Noah cut him off. "You regret consequences, not the act. Let's not lie to each other, Halden. Not at the end." The Emperor inhaled through his nose, steadying himself. "If this is the end, then speak plainly. What do you want?" "I don't want anything," Noah replied. "But Earth does." He reached down, pressed something off screen. A map appeared beside his image, one familiar to Halden. It was the Empire's core infrastructure. Communication relays. Power stations. Economic trade nodes. Highlighted in red. One by one, they flickered and turned gray. "Gone. Your core has been collapsing for 7 days. You thought it was disorganization. No. It was design." Halden took a step back. "You're dismantling the foundation of a civilization." Noah's face hardened. "So did you. With one child. You thought her blood would evaporate with time. You forgot the species you were dealing with. You underestimated memory. You underestimated grief." He leaned closer to the feed. "But most of all, you underestimated what it feels like to lose everything and still keep breathing." Halden whispered, "You're turning us into ghosts." Noah nodded once. We already became them the moment she screamed. The screen went black. Across the Capitol, systems failed in sequence. Not violently, elegantly. Controlled. Designed. Doors sealed. Power dimmed. Walls breathed. In the council hall, ministers scrambled, shouting orders no one obeyed. Panic had lost its edge. Now it was just exhaustion. On a diplomatic channel, a desperate plea from Councillor Varex was sent to Earth. It contained no strategy. Just 4 words. What will stop this? Earth responded not with text but video. Myra's voice again. And I hope this flower reminds you to be kind to other children. And then, finally, a face not seen since before it all began. Mira. Older now. Taller. Eyes sharper. A Terran officer's insignia on her uniform. Alive. Not a memory. Not a trick. She stared straight into the lens. You wanted a symbol. So you made me one. She paused, letting it settle. You thought my death would be your message. But Earth made it ours. Behind her, warships hovered silently, stars blinking off behind their silhouettes. She wasn't pleading. She wasn't preaching. She was confirming. I didn't die. But I watched my world burn because of you. I watched my family fracture. And I watched the galaxy stand by. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. You built an empire on the backs of children. And now your foundation is cracking because you touched the wrong one. She turned and walked away without another word. The feed cut. Inside the crumbling palace, Halden sank into a chair. Not from exhaustion, but from understanding. They had never fought Earth. Not really. They had woken it. Then fed it a reason. And then they waited while Earth rewrote what war meant. Iser cleared his throat. Do we surrender? Halden laughed. Not out of amusement. Out of clarity. To who? No reply came. Because Earth had no demands. No flag to raise. No seat to take. Only memory to preserve. And that was more powerful than conquest. That night, a final log was added to the Imperial Archive. Not by scribes. By a Terran AI that bypassed their firewall one last time. This empire died not with war, but with a whisper. The last surviving noble of House Carrick was dragged before the tribunal, his face pale, hands shackled in bands that shimmered with Terran tech. His name was Lauren Carrick, nephew to the man who shattered Mira Jensen's skull. He'd been captured on the edge of Alliance space, hiding behind diplomatic credentials and forged documents. It hadn't mattered. Earth had already decided. The tribunal chamber was filled with silence. No audience. No press. Only one voice would matter today. Ambassador Noah Jensen stepped forward. He no longer wore a suit. His uniform was matte gray, his eyes colder than any verdict. Lauren tried to speak first. This is a show trial. You have no jurisdiction. Noah answered calmly. You're not on trial. This isn't justice. This is memory. The panel remained expressionless. The room existed for one thing, closure. Not law. Lauren glanced around, still searching for a lever, some remnant of the old world. You think this will make her death mean something? She was one child. You've killed thousands since. Noah didn't blink. And none of them were 8, holding a gift, and smiling while you murdered her for being born human. She wasn't murdered by me. You celebrated it. Lauren's mouth closed. Silence settled in like a stone dropped into still water. A screen activated, replaying the now infamous clip. Myra's voice, crystal clear. Thank you for letting me be here. It stopped before the strike. Everyone knew what came next. No one needed to hear it again. Noah turned to the tribunal. Earth doesn't need guilt. We needed a name. They gave us hers. We answered. He faced Lauren again. You have nothing left. No house. No bloodline. No sanctuary. Lauren's voice cracked. What do you want from me? Noah leaned closer. To listen? Not plead. Not justify. Just listen. From a side door, a young woman stepped in. Tall. Calm. Her face familiar. Mira. Older. Battle-scarred. Composed. Lauren recoiled. No. You're dead. Mira stopped in front of him, her gaze steady. You saw someone die. Not me. A decoy. A trap. One you willingly fell into. He stammered. You, Earth, faked your death? No, she said quietly. You killed a child. We buried her. We just never buried me. Lauren blinked, confused. What are you? Mira tilted her head. A reminder of what happens when you mistake mercy for weakness. The tribunal chair stood. Verdict is sealed. Sentence, memory erasure, full bioneural wipe. You'll wake up in a station with no past. No language. No name. Lauren panicked. You can't do that. It's exactly what your empire did to generations. The chair replied. Please, he screamed. Just kill me. Noah stepped forward. That would be letting you off easy. Mira spoke last. I was supposed to be a symbol of peace. Instead, I became a ghost in your machines. Now I'll be the face your grandchildren remember in nightmares. The tribunal adjourned. The room emptied, leaving only silence, and one broken man, no longer sure who he was, or what he'd just witnessed. Elsewhere, Earth's final message went live. A galactic broadcast. Mira stood at the center of it, not as a child, not as a soldier, but as something new. I was 8 when the Empire taught me that peace is not a gift. It's earned. I was 12 when I learned justice isn't a courtroom, it's memory wrapped in steel. And I was 17 when I led the final strike that shattered the last bloodline responsible for my death. She paused, letting it settle across the stars. We didn't start this war. We ended it. Not with fleets, but with memory. Not with speeches, but with silence. We were not conquerors. We were consequence. Behind her, 1,000 ships powered down, their weapons no longer needed. We offer no empire in return. We don't want your throne. Keep it. We want one thing only, truth. She looked into the feed. The galaxy allowed a child to be erased. Earth answered. Let this be our final message. If you harm the innocent, we will not send diplomats. We will not send warnings. We will send memory. The screen cut to black. One word remained. Mira. The next day, the Empire formally dissolved. Its territories fractured, leaders vanished, records scrubbed clean by the very AI systems they once trusted. Earth did not claim the spoils. They left. Silently. Completely. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the stars felt wider. On a quiet moon orbiting a dead world, Mira stood with Noah Jensen. They watched the night sky in silence. He finally spoke. Was it worth it? She didn't answer right away. Then, softly, she's still dead. He nodded. But now, she continued, the galaxy remembers her name. And maybe, that's enough. A pulse from the horizon shimmered. No weapon. No war. Just light returning to places that had only known fear. Earth didn't rebuild the galaxy. They left it with a mirror. And walked away, unafraid of who they saw in the reflection.